we mix these flowers with this bunny base, and yeah, we're gonna add some ribbon to this kit. I think you're gonna love it. It's gonna feel vintagey and give you that really cottage vibe, so get in here. Y'all, so for the pieces that come in this kit, we start off with our big bunny base, and she is made of slats of wood that are put together, and it's got this nice, fun, vintagey feel. The neat part is she already has 2 hangers on the back, and then you're going to start off by just adding a wire between those. I prefer 18 gauge wire, and this is one that's wrapped in paper, which works really well. And I just wanted to come up just a little bit between this little crack in her neck, and that'll work perfect for us to hang her on the door, and she won't be too floppy when we put her on there. So we're going to hang her on the wreath stand and get ready. This wreath we made in design school, if you haven't seen it yet. It's got the battery operated candle lantern in there, and I love it. And I thought it'd be fun to make some pieces that were for Easter, were for spring, but they just had that nice vintage vibe where you could leave them up all season long. So let's switch this out on the wreath stand and get to work. So our wreath kit for this particular project is going to come with a nice, really beautiful fern that has a realistic, really beautiful look to it. Then we've got a little bit of a boxwood, and then we have a kind of a muted mauve-y berry and leaf pick. So together we're going to get that real vintage vibe. To pull that all together with our bunny that comes in the kit, we're going to use this burlap ribbon. This is the darker color, and I like this in here. And we're going to be making a bow with this. So hang on, and we're going to get started with our florals. The first thing you're going to need to have on hand is you'll need some of your basic wreath making supplies, like you're going to need some wire cutters and a little bit of floral foam, of course a little bit of wire. You're going to need that stuff, some cable ties for the bow. And I'm just going to use a little block of floral foam I have left from another project. This is about 1.5 inches by 2 inches. You could make it a little bit bigger, but we're going to put that kind of right in the center of his body. And I usually use hot glue with a little bit of Gorilla Glue. So I'm going to put a little Gorilla Glue on in the background. And I just want the bow to be kind of in the middle here of the body, and I want you to be able to see that silhouette of the head really good against the door when we get ready to put it on our door. So I'm going to put this just right here in the middle, just get a few little drips, squirts. They're not going to drip. I'm going to cover them up before they drip. All right, and now I'm going to take my block of foam. We're going to dip it in my glue pot here and get a good amount of glue on it, and then I just take and scrape off the excess. I'm okay with it glooping out a little. That is totally fine. I'm going to put that on there, and let's put it sideways like this or like this. I don't want the florals to go into the head too much, so I'm going to go this way, right to left. Now, when you get your kit, feel free to make it any way you want. Go rogue, do what you want to do, be creative, because that's what's so much fun about this process. Now, if you have a little bit of Spanish moss in your stash at home, we can take and add a little around to any of this excess little glue that's showing. I'm just going to take some of my little pieces that are crumbly here and put them in around. And then I can kind of shake that off, but that'll hide any of that glue that's just sticking on there. I need to restock my moss under here. But any that squirts out, you can take and just push that into there. And now you've got your glue covered that's squeezing out. I'm not going to see that shining. And I didn't cover up my foam. That's really important. We talk about that in design school. We don't want to put a bunch of moss on that foam because then we have to work getting through it. We don't need that right now. We are perfectly fine with this so far. So our first step is done. Now I want you to grab your boxwood. It's going to go on next. We're going to use this to set the perimeter of the design. And that means this is the piece that's going to be in the background and set the longest, usually the longest lengths that we put in here. So let's take and cut this out. And in design school, sometimes we set the perimeter first. Sometimes we do it at a different stage in the design, but it's always a good starting point once we have our greeneries picked out for that project. And the nice thing about getting a kit is you get all of the greeneries that come in the kit, all the supplies, and then we always send you a code so you can get back to this video. You have no trouble finding it on our website. We don't want you to feel lost or not know where to go. We are taking good care of you. So I'm going to take this longest piece that's in there and we're going to divide it into 2 pieces. Okay, and now I'm going to take another longer piece from the bush and we're going to put it in right here in the center, and then I'm going to kind of go beside that one with these other 2. We're going to kind of stagger them out and we're going to start to shape out our design. This one's a little shorter, so I'm going to use it to the right. And remember, this kit's coming with ribbon also. So we're going to leave what we call a bow zone, right in the middle where we'll be putting the bow. So you got to think about that. Don't fill it all up yet, okay? Now I'm going to make really long tails on the bow, so I'm totally okay with this being maybe a little bit longer coming down here. I don't mind that at all. So let's keep working either side of the bottom. Put these in. That's so stinking cute. I love it. And then what I want you to do is just hold a couple of those pieces that we just had. Let's hold off one of them. I'm going to use this last piece. Yeah, let's hold off both. We're going to hold off both of these to work in the foreground a little bit in just a minute when we get that bow in. All right? So grab your second greenery. We're going to use that next. The second greenery is this beautiful fern, and it is so cute because it's just delicate. So I'm going to take this fern and we're going to pull these pieces kind of out of this stem. Sometimes you can do that. If you can't, then we'll cut it. But I'm trying to get some of the longer pieces out of the back here. Let's see if oh yeah, let me pull them right out. Okay, so just take those and just gently pull them. Don't pull all the leaves off. We're trying to get that wire out of there. See here? I'm going to pull that wire out. And there it comes. And once I do that, I'm going to have all of these wires that we can easily put into our foam. Okay. Sometimes we want to have the heavy stem in our design. Sometimes we don't. Now, all of these little pieces, I'm going to leave those clustered together. We're going to put that aside. We're going to use that more towards the center of the bow. And I'm going to take these guys and we're going to work them out on the perimeter. All right. Now, when we get ready to put these in, we want to stagger them in. Oh my gosh, this fern is so pretty. And I love that it looks real. It's just so cool. We're going to stagger them. We're going to go in between the pieces we already had here. So I'm going to pop this one in and move her around. And let's put one more on that side. Oh yeah. Maybe take a couple here. These are kind of the medium length ones. We want to save some of the longer ones for down there. If you're a plant person, you will appreciate how real this fern looks. So cool. All right, that looks pretty. So the bright new growth is at the tips, and the older growth is more towards the center, which is going to work great because that's where we've got our bow coming in here in a little bit. I'm going to put this one right here. This one has 2 pieces, so we can kind of spread one out to the side. And we'll take one more of the really thick ones and come over here to the left. So we're kind of working in the background still, just laying everybody out. And once we get to this point, it's going to be time to put the bow on. The bow is done for you on another video. So if you do need to know how to make the bow, just ask here in the comments and we'll get you the link to it so you can watch it. It's also, the bow video will always be linked on the supply list for this project, for this bunny, cottage bunny door hanger. So when we made this, we left these long tails intentionally, and we wanted to tuck right in here and be able to put all that fun, beautiful color coming into this piece, because we've got this beautiful green. We're going to pop a little bit of mauve in there. So instead of just using the cable tie in the back of this one, we're going to put in this little U-pin. I'm going to pop it right in the back, right under where the cable tie would be, okay? And now we're going to take and put a little glue on that, and we'll pop it right into the design. So I put the glue right on there. So get ready to go. And I'm going to angle this to match where everybody else is going this way. Remember, we said we weren't going to overlap the head. We're going to overlap the body, so I can see a nice silhouette of the head, which you can see right there. Even though it's white against white, if this goes on a brown door, it's gonna be perfect. Now I want you to work these tails in around your greenery right now. You got a beautiful base to start with here. And I got my tails working up and down in my loops. Now we're going to add that color. And so that is this piece right here. I'm holding off all the ferns that are left. We're going to be putting those in around the bow, but we got to put the color in next. So for this one, we're going to take and just tear these off the stem to start us off. Pull this out. This is a cool little twig, and I am going to use it, but I'm going to pull it out and keep it separate, okay? Because I like to use twigs at the front of my designs. I just love that. We're going to pull these out, and it's okay if they come out individually. We don't have to keep them all clustered because we want to spread this color all around. Okay, so here's one cluster that we're going to start with, and I am going to take and use it kind of on the top side of the design. You want to trim off loose stems if they're like loose and got the paper on. We're taking those off. We're going to go up to the top, and we're going to let this just pop right out here in the front. I'm going to tuck it right into that bow. Perfect. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And just let that wiggle in, okay, right here. So I've got a little bit of burgundy at the top. Get your glue strings out of there. You can't stay glue. All right, now I'm going to take my second cluster, and we're going to use it just kind of coming down. I'm going to try to pop it right in front of those other ferns. Actually, this piece is kind of doesn't have as much paper on it, so I'm going to hold it off for a second. We'll use this one that's put together a little bit better, and we'll let it kind of come down a little bit longer. Trim those little wires off, and let's go down. Okay, right in here. Yeah, and we're gonna let that be longer, okay? Now, we're gonna save some space in there for all of this goodies to work around the bow. You see how we added that? It's got that great vintage kind of just classic feel. Now, grab your ferns and your boxwoods that are left. And remember, we saved that one that had the cool center, like the new growth coming out. We're gonna use it right here in the middle, kind of coming down. I'm gonna trim this off to where this is all together. Look how cute. I got my little cluster coming out, and I'm going to rotate this around. We're going to put that right in tight to the bow. Okay. Now that means we're kind of layering in the berries that are underneath with this. That's okay. That is exactly what we want. Ooh, that's so pretty. Ooh, I love that. Now, let's take a little bit of the boxwood, and let's use a little on either side of this design. I'm going to cut these. These are from the first greenery we put in. And I'm going to trim these into halves. These, trim them down. And we're going to put a little on the left, a little on the right. And we are tucking into the bow. We are tucking right into this bow. We want to fill in here. Yep, perfect. So that's on the left. Let's do a little bush on the right, like a little bitty one. Perfect. Beautiful. Now I'm going to hold this off for a second, this other piece. And I want to use a little bit of this fern kind of coming out on either side too. I'm going to cut it pretty short. And we're going to bring it in. This is the detail work, and we talk about this a lot in design school as well, where we have to do our finishing details, and they are a little bit time consuming, but they really matter in the end piece because we want to get those lines right. We want to really give that feeling of nature. I specifically work in a lot of florals. That's my expertise. It's what I love. I love doing it. So you're going to keep seeing me do that, working with different florals just non-stop because they are my favorite. Okay, I'm going to take this little piece. Look how just airy that looks. This looks so good. I'm going to divide this one into two pieces. And we're going to put the little browner piece kind of in the background, and I'm going to use this little greener piece up on the top when we layer it in. So right here, I took the little brown leaves. I'm going to pop them to the back. Oh yeah, that's going to look good right there. And now take that green one and use it right in the middle. Okay, so we've done a really good job of adding our details. Our final touch is we want to get We got that burgundy in the bag, but we want to bring it back to the foreground again. We created the depth, which means we made the piece look more expensive and fancier and more well designed. But now we're ready to bring it to the front. So here we go. Here comes my pretty pieces. Let's take this piece right here. I'm gonna get this big berry. Look at this. Ooh, that's so pretty. Let's put it right here in the front. Big old berry. Right under that fern. We're gonna put it right next to where oh yeah, that looks great. Now that's gonna be popping out there. Oh yeah. Excellent. I got a little bit of a, just kind of a floral and a leaf here. Let's bring this out to the left because we already have a line created this way. We established that when we put this bow on and we started with our foam. So we set our foundation knowing this is what the direction we were going to go with these florals. Now let's come back up to the top. See how pretty that is to get them layered in? I'm going to put a little bit of this burgundy work in the top over here. Kind of coming out over to the right a little, and you just pull it aside and you pop it into the foam. You keep pushing those little wires in, it can go right there. Beautiful. And make sure you're making those layers in this bow just explode out of the bow, okay? That's what we want to do. We've got a couple more pieces here. Whoop, you cannot get away. I need you. I need you. And let's just take this little piece and have him kind of come out of the side of the bow over here. Like he just snuck out the side. I love that with that burgundy. Okay. And then we'll take the last little piece over here on the right. We got a leaf and a little bit of stem, and I'm gonna make that kind of come out over here. Now you have just a little bit of boxwood remaining. And with that little bit of boxwood, we want to use that right in here just to break up the fern just a little bit. So that means we're going to cut these into really small pieces. So to do that, you're going to take these and just take them about 3 clusters at a time, or 4 max. So when you do that, you get little bitty clusters like this. We're going to put those right in, especially between kind of the loops to help this bow sit up pretty. Put a little bit right here. Yep. And see how that kind of pops through? I don't know if you can see that, but that is so cute. I'll do it on this side too. Once I put these in, I'll show you what it looks like close up. It kind of comes through the layers just slightly of the bow. I'm just in love with that look. Here comes our long piece, our little bit bigger piece. I'm going to use that one up at the top. Got that beautiful fern there, so I don't want to cover it up, but I'm going to come right beside it. It'll be shorter than it. Oh yeah, and that pretty fern's right there. So let me give you a good close-up of the boxwood and see how we use that in there. Right there, right there. Here's our pretty little fern there. And there's our little bitty leaves that we put in. Y'all, this is stunning. I love it. And we've taken a lot of time to really get the details in every piece. And my favorite little finishing point of all of these is always this. This is the little bit of twig that comes with this. And since we did so much going down, that's really beautiful using the little new growth of the fern. Let's take this one and use it up. That's gonna make my little heart happy. I'm gonna go behind our little fern, pop it in. Oh my gosh, and now we got our twigs with our ribbon. Oh my goodness, I think she turned out amazing. What do you think? What do you think? Oh, she looks great. Can you believe you can make this too all by yourself? Just take a little time, step by step. You can create your own version of this design. We have it all in a kit for you, ready to rock and roll. But most of all, I hope it makes you enjoy the process of creating and really, you know, getting into nature without having to get out into the garden yet. But you can play with these flowers and make something this beautiful. I'm loving it. What do you think? I bet you can make it too. All right, y'all.